Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela Web Dev. So we have completed the complete series on this testing the services, how we can test the services in different scenarios we have seen, like the success scenario, failure scenario, testing the auth interceptor, testing using the Jasmine spy, testing using the HTTP testing controller like testbed and all those things. We have seen everything, every scenario we have completed in the Angular 19. Now the next phase what we need to do it is how we can test the component in Angular. So now we understood about how to test the services. Now it's time for us to learn how we can test a component in Angular. So before that, first we need to know what is a component in Angular. So you people already aware of this one. So if you are coming up to this step means you people already know what is a component in Angular. Just I will tell you briefly. So what is basically a component in Angular? A component in Angular is a building block that combines two key elements. So this is the main thing. First one is the HTML template. This defines what is displayed to the user, the view, and another one is a TypeScript class. This identifies the logic and behavior of the component. The uniqueness of an Angular component lies in how its template and class work together. Testing a component is not just about validating the logic in the class or checking the template. It's about verifying how the two interact to ensure component works as expected. So that is the main thing. So testing separately a TypeScript class and also a component class and also the component template separately not. So testing involves how they both are interacting to each other so that the component working as expected, we need to check it. So this is the brief introduction about the component. Component means it mainly comprises of two things, that is nothing but HTML template and also a TypeScript class. We also have another class, another file that is nothing but style thing. So that is different. So basic two building blocks are nothing but HTML and the TypeScript class. So these two should interact to each other so that the whatever the user is trying to do, we can able to build the logic. So the next scenario what I want to explain is why we need to test a component. So this is also one of the important concepts. So why we need to test a component. Testing a component ensures the template renders the desired output based on the state defined in the class. So that means the template rendering the desired outputs, whatever the output we are expecting, that output is delivering or not, we can able to able to check it based on the state defined in the class. The component responds correctly to user inputs like clicks or keystrokes. So whether we need to check that the component is responding correctly to the events like clicks or keystrokes, something like that. And also we need to check that the component interacts properly with the parent and child components also. So this also we need to check. So whether the component is interacting properly with the parent and child components also we need to check it. So this is one thing. So now we need to understand. So now you understood why we need to test a component. So we have understood about what is a component in Angular and also why we need to test a component we have understood. Now it's time for us, what are the types of component testing available in the Angular. So there are basically two types of testing. So we'll try to I will try to show you. So this is the thing. Oh, sorry. I will try to paste it correctly. Yeah. So now the types of testing I want to explain you here. So the types of component testing are, first one is the class testing without the DOM. So that means you can test the component TypeScript class in isolation. This approach focuses on the business logic and state management of the component. Skips any interaction with the browser DOM or template. So this is one thing. So separately testing the class without the DOM. So this works. This tests class in isolation and all the things. So the next one is the DOM testing along with the DOM. This involves testing the template and its interaction with the component class. You need to render the component in the DOM like a browser does. Verify if the HTML updates correctly based on the state or not, and check that user interactions like clicking a button and all those things trigger the intended behavior. So we need to test these all the things for a component. So why do we need the DOM testing? So you people can able to have a doubt that why do we need a DOM testing? So why? Because if we test this all logic and all those things, so it's enough, right? So why do we need a DOM testing? So let's try to see. So why do we need a DOM testing? So let's try to paste it here. Yeah. A component is more than its class logic. So if I tell about the Angular component means it's more than a class logic. So it involves HTML template and also the class. It interacts with the class normally it interacts with the DOM, manipulates HTML elements, updates contents, shows or hides elements dynamically. And the user input responds to events like clicks, gestures or the keystrokes. And other components passes data to or receives data from parent and child components. For example, testing the class alone cannot answer questions like, is a button properly bound to a function so the user can click it to trigger some behavior? Does the displayed message in the template match the current state in the component class? When interacting with the child component, it is a communication example, passing inputs or emptying outputs working correctly or not. So these are all the things we need to test it. So that's why we need to have a DOM testing. So that is a main thing. So normally, so I will try to examples of questions about the DOM testing. So I will try to give you answers and questions for this one. Here are some practical examples where DOM testing is essential. So let's try to see. Is a button bound correctly? Example, does the light switch dot clicked function get triggered when the user clicks a button or not? So let's say that you are having a button. So whether this method has been triggered or not when the user clicks on a button. So for this one, we need to test it. Does the template display the state? Example, if the message property changes in the component, does the updated message appear in the DOM or not? We need to test it. And does a child component rendered properly? Is the hero name displayed correctly in the dashboard hero component? Example, in uppercase, or dynamic changes reflected? When a condition changes, does an element appear or disappear correctly? Does the template behave as expected? Example, does the welcome component shows the correct greeting message or not? So these are all the things we need to test it in a component. These are all the things we'll try to see it. So challenges of this DOM testing. So these are all somewhat important, right? So now you may be having a doubt that what are the challenges of this DOM testing? Many components have complex templates. These templates show or hide content based on the component state, react to user interactions, integrate deeply with parent or child components. For instance, a drop-down might render different options based on the user's input. A model might appear or disappear dynamically based on the flag. To ensure the correctness of such interactions, you need to render the component in the DOM and test its behavior as it changes over time. So this is one thing you need to check. So now, how Angular test bed helps for this one? So in order to test these all components and all those things, we need to use the Angular test bed. How this Angular test beds helps for us? The Angular test bed is a powerful utility tool that simplifies testing components. It provides a way to create a testing module that mimics the real application module, tools to render the components template in a simulated DOM environment, methods to simulate user actions like clicks, inputs or gestures, and access to the DOM to inspect the components output. So this is the place where the Angular test bed is useful for us. So steps for DOM testing with Angular tape. Here is how you might test a component that interacts with the DOM. Set up the test environment. Use the test bed to configure a testing module. We'll try to see this one. So we already see this one in our services. We'll try to see. Import necessary modules, declare components and provide services. And create the component. Instantiate the component in the test environment and render its template in the DOM. Interact with the component. Simulate user actions like clicking a button or typing in a field. Inspect the DOM. Check if the component's template behaves as expected, such as displaying the correct output or updating the DOM based on the user's interactions or not. So we'll try to check it this one. So why we need to test both class and the DOM? So this one we'll try to see. Class testing is a quick and focus on the internal logic. It doesn't require creating or interacting with the DOM. DOM testing validates how the component behaves in a real environment, ensuring everything works as intended when integrated with the templates or the other components. So in the conclusion, what I want to tell is, so in the conclusion before closing it off, so testing Angular components isn't just about checking the class logic, it's about ensuring that the template and the class work together seamlessly. DOM testing is essential for verifying the dynamic behavior, interaction with the user, integration with other components. With tools like Angular test bed, you can simulate the component's behavior in a controlled environment, interact with it as if you were in the real application, and verify that everything is functioning as expected. So that's it guys about this introduction to the component testing. So hope you understood about this brief introduction about the component testing in Angular. So if you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.